Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
This is my 2015 STI, and I blew it up.
It's got to rip apart the block.
First things first, let's get this battery out of here. Easy way to not lose these is to just put them right back on. Get this thing out of here. Oh, the whole tray's coming with it. Next thing I want to do is get this intake piece taken off here. I pulled this thing out the firewall, trying to get it out. This is like a sound enhancer thing that we probably won't put back on. Take this intake off. There's 1/2. Oh, now it came out like butter.
Not butter.
All right, there's an intercooler out. Finished taking off this turbo inlet. I have a new turbo inlet for this build, so we will not be reusing this one. This heat shield has 4 bolts in it. 2 of them broke off. They were in pretty rough condition. All right, I'm gonna hit these downpipe bolts. Hopefully they come out easier. There we go. Oh, wow. One of these down here was loose. Wow. You can get some extensions back there, but you don't really have anywhere to turn, so this is what we're doing. That should be broke loose.
You sure about that?
We might be pulling the whole stud here. Gotta do what you gotta do. Alright. Put those back on for safekeeping. The next thing I'm gonna do is get rid of the coolant, so I'm just gonna open these now. So that way it hopefully it drains a little better. There's a little Phillips right here, and it should drain all of our coolant nice and easy. This up there. Mount bolts we gotta take out. A 14 mil bolt that's holding the downpipe to the transmission, so we need to get that off in order to get the downpipe off. Also have to take this bolt out right here, another 14, so I'm gonna spray the back of it. Broken. It's getting chopped. I'm gonna get some of these bell housing bolts I can reach. There we go. I'm gonna try and put some break free on some of these studs down here. I guess the 2 studs at the very bottom. Empty now, we can take these hoses off. This radiator should come right out. Okay. Steering pump out of the way. I would disconnect it, but I'll lose all the fluid, so typically you can just fold this thing out of the way. Gonna do the same thing with the AC, so that way we don't have to drain the refrigerant. I would like to just throw this over here somewhere. Since I removed these bolts from this, I should be able to just flip this over here. A slave cylinder, and I just dropped it out of the way. I took the boot off the clutch fork, and I'm just gonna wiggle this back and forth and pull at the same time, and this should come right out. Next thing I'm gonna do is take off this transmission mount, so that way we can jack the transmission up without harming this mount here. Bell housing bolt is down there. And these bolts were way over torqued, man. You do not need to do this. We might start seeing the engine separate a little bit. That's what I'm hoping for. I had to wedge a flathead screwdriver in here to get this to spread apart because both the dowel pins, I'm assuming, are really corroded. Let's get this engine out. No, the antifreeze. Got all the bolts out. Should come off fairly easy. There we go. Nice. Clutch is getting a little low. The first thing I want to do is take off this crank pulley here just so I can start removing the timing covers. There we go. I need to get this secondary air pump out of here. So I'm gonna work on that right now so I can access these timing cover bolts. Clamps we gotta disconnect back here for our secondary air pump. 12 mils right here. I'm hoping these are not gonna be too tight. And that should get us free. Let's see how free we are. Just like that, man. Get these timing covers off. Intake manifold bolts, they're 12 mil. There's two in the middle here. Like the other side, 4 12 mil bolts. So this one might break. I really hope it doesn't, but if that gun's not getting it out, man, this thing's way over torqued. Okay, we got it. I cleaned this up as much as I could, so I'm gonna drain the oil and see how bad this is gonna look. Doesn't actually look that bad. Definitely has some sparkle in it. And before we go any further, I'm going to take a wild guess and say cylinder 4 is the one that spun the rod bearing. Now I want to get this exhaust manifold off. In order to do that, we got to remove these heat shields. So I went ahead and lubed the back of them. Let's see how easy they come out. I'm assuming half of these are going to break. Boy, these are actually coming out pretty nice. I'm thoroughly surprised. Take the turbo off. I already got this hard nut to reach in here. I just gotta pop these ones off. And it should start coming out. Manifold bolts, these are 14s. That one came off really nicely. That one came off decent. How about the back one? just like that. Turbo is out. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. We're out of here. Just like that. Intake manifold off. There is a hairline crack on this oil pickup, so I'm assuming that is what contributed to our spun bearings. Alright. The next thing I have to do is take the heads off and have those rebuilt. This should come right off here. Take these caps off. There we go. Cam seal in the way. Move that seal. There we go. Yep, there she goes. Now we gotta do the same on this side. And it should come right out. There we go. Intake. Pull the last head off, man. Oh! That's where our rod knock was coming from. I'm gonna take the cylinder heads to cylinder head service and have them redone.
Your destination is on the right.
Good old cylinder head service.
See anything wrong here?
We got no way to shoot!
Take a look at our new block. Now this is straight from Subaru. April. It's not Christmas time. Try and get this back part opened up so that way I can get it onto the engine stand. And then we'll finish uncovering it once we get it on the stand. Ooh, doesn't get much fresher than this. See what we're working with here. Once you get this unhooked, you kind of have to finagle it around this. It should just come right out now, like that. I'm gonna clean up some of these parts with a little brake clean. And a dirty sock. Clean these pipes up for extra added effect. Put this stuff back on our new block. New seals in here. So we should be good to mount this up. So the torque on this coolant crossover is 56 inch-pounds or 4.7 foot-pounds. So I'm just gonna snug them up with this. Won't go super tight. Nothing crazy. There's a few more things we gotta take off here, including this. Crank bolt too. This crank pulley off, I had to use this. And I went on these flat spots on both sides. And I just pried it back and forth until it came off. You don't want to pry on these because that's what the crank sensor reads off of. So if those are messed up, you're going to be getting check engine lights. Pull this out and it's actually a 24 deep socket. So Once that comes out, you're left with this big long thing.
What do you mean by that?
We're gonna take this off too. It's also 24 mil. I'm gonna go ahead and just transfer all these bolts I left in the block over to the other one. I did put a little Teflon on this. Hopefully it won't leak. I'm not sure what the torque is on this, but it was pretty tight. This is our old seal. This is our new seal. I cleaned the inside of this really good. And we are gonna give it a little coating of oil before we put it in there. Everything cleaned off, we can go ahead and put this in. Make sure our seal stays where it's supposed to. Torque to 45 foot-pounds. The next thing we got to hopefully remedy why this happened in the first place, I went ahead and got a Killer Bee oil pan and pickup. I'm gonna go ahead and work on getting this installed. So I did put a little bit of blue Loctite on there just to ensure that they don't back themselves out under extreme driving. We gotta put our little spacer in here. Make sure not to drop that in the block. That could be bad time. They say 4.5 foot-pounds is about as much as you want to go. I'm just gonna do a thin layer. I don't want any of the oil ports getting clogged with gasket maker. I think I'm supposed to torque these to 7 foot-pounds. I think that's good. And a little more of the sealant came out, so I would say that's a job well done. Here's our oil pump. Here's our hardware and gasket. Before we put this little O-ring in, I am gonna put a little bit of oil on it. And do one last little brake cleaner spray around that seal that we just put oil on. We also want to put a little bit of oil on that seal too, so we can slip around the crank. This wants to be torqued to 56 inch-pounds. I'm just gonna snug all these up, let it dry a little bit, and then we'll finish torquing it up. We got the Aizen water pump kit. This is the kit I've been using on Subarus for a long time. Timing belt, all that good stuff. This is what we want out of it. We'll save this for later. Okay, got our gasket, our seals, water pump. Nice thing about Aizen is right there, made in Japan. Put our seal in. Got that for our thermostat. Now we should be able to just go right on here. These want to be torqued to 10 or 9 foot-pounds, and my torque wrench only goes to 10. So I will be using my arm as a torque wrench. Do this in a little cross pattern. Just snug them up. Click, 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 and click. That's torqued. You heard the clicks. I'd call this the top, lined up with this. So put put that in there like that. Grab our housing here. Open this up and see if it's what I think it is. There we go. There's our ARP head studs. Follow these directions and get these things installed. We can go ahead and put our gasket on. Now when you put these gaskets on, there's only really one thing you need to line up, which is this top with this coolant hole right there. So as long as you got that lined up, everything else should be good. You just gotta make sure that you're clear on everything. We can slide our head on. Now we just got to go through and put a washer on every one of these. Pull a little bit on this nut, some in the threads, and then we'll just put it right on. First torque is going to be 30 foot-pounds. Now we're going to up it to 60 foot-pounds. Take them all the way up to 90. In order to do the next ones, I have to spin the motor. I'm gonna run a piece of tape lengthwise so these caps don't pop out. I'm gonna let these sit overnight and then torque them tomorrow. Go ahead and put our head studs in. Just like that. Same thing as last time, we got to put all these washers on. Do a little bit of lube on the bottom of the nut and in the threads. Going for 30 foot-pounds. There's 30, now we'll go to 60. Now we'll go to 90. I let this sit overnight. I'm gonna retorque it, make sure everything's still at 90. Let me go ahead and get these all lubed up as well. Put some in here. Put our cap back on. Arrow facing towards the front. Same thing for all these. RTV in all the places it should be. Trying to keep it out of these journals right here. Go in with some of these bolts. Looks like it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. Pull all these caps out and lube them up. Just like that. Got this gasket maker, you can see pretty light along these galleys here, and I did put some lube on here, so that first start should be nice and easy. There we go. And we got the front ones. Same thing as the other side, we're gonna snug these. Torque those in like 15 minutes. Crank pulley on, they should just slide right on pretty effortlessly. And we can put our top cap on here. We are ready for a cam seal. Just make sure there's no debris in there. Just like that. A little bit further on this right side. you're gonna want to get your RTV here, and these little corners right here, you just put a little bead right here. Put a little bead on this side. And we're going right down here. We're gonna go in these little corners and put a little bead here. Same thing here, a little bead here. I did replace a couple of these PCV hoses. I went ahead and reused the old factory clamps because they're still in really nice shape. New crush washers on all the oil lines. This oil line, all new crush washers. These are the Tomioka block off plates for the secondary air pump. Move to the other side. Go ahead and torque these to 25 foot-pounds. While I'm over here, I did pick this up because Killer Bee did not send me this. I don't know if that's something they forgot or they just don't include that. $800 and you can't even get this fitting. That's cheap, man. Like cents. We're talking cents.
Pennies. We're talking about pennies.
One of my heat shields, this one, is loose, and that's just gonna be a rattle monster if I don't fix it. So I'm gonna go tack it up on the welder, and then we can put this on. 28 foot-pounds. I had my buddy Travis with Green Tech Garage stop by, and he grabbed his company 23 Subaru tools, and we torqued these. I think it was 22 foot-pounds and then 45 degrees rotation after. So all these pulleys still need to be torqued down to 29 foot-pounds. If you don't have the company 23 cam tools, you can grab the old belt and just wrap it around whatever gear you're trying to torque, and then you can bring it through here and actually have it be held pretty well to where you can torque these. Put some new seals in here and get the rest of the timing covers back on. The next thing I'm going to do is install this cylinder 4 cooling mod. I need to take this cap out. So once you got your Teflon tape on, you can just thread it right in, and you can use gasket maker if you really want to. The intake manifold set on here. The turbo inlet is attached to the turbo. Pretty much just have to go around now and plug everything back in and make sure all the hose clamps and hoses are back where they should be.
Oh, it's so pretty.
So pretty and new. Got the engine put back together. There is a few things left to take off of this. I'm gonna put the old block in its final resting place for now, and then we'll pop these off and put them on the new block. The intercooler support. New oil on this seal before we slap it in. Alright, we can just go right on here. Little stability mount right there. Always laughing at me. Alright. I'm just gonna turn it over a couple times and make sure I don't hear anything. Sounds fine. Putting in the laser iridium NGKs. Should be able to go right in with these guys. hooked our coils up. Spark plugs are in. Before we get the motor in, we have to get these out. They are actually supposed to be in the engine. These ones just got corroded and stuck in the transmission. I'm gonna put some heat on these and then hit them with one of these punches. Hitting them from the back is not working. I'm gonna just pound them on the front here. Heat it up a little bit more. There's one. Now I gotta get the cherry picker hooked up to this. I'm gonna go ahead and take these 14 mils off so we can get the clutch on. There we go. Our Exetti clutch kit. There's our flywheel. A 24 mil socket fits perfect. Go ahead and get this up here. Oh. These need to be 55 foot-pounds, and we'll hit them in a cross and then a circle. We're gonna need something to hold the front though. Just snugging them up here. Make sure we get a nice even torque. Now we'll do our circle. Next time I'm gonna do is just clean this thing off. It's got some like cardboard and some dust and stuff on it. Shop towel with a little brake clean. And we'll just clean up this mating surface here. Just like that. Find a clean spot on our shop towel. I've seen these pressure plates fail, so just take a good look at it, make sure it looks good. Try and go on just like this. Now we need to torque those down to about 12 to 15 foot-pounds. There's our cylinder 4 cooling mod. I got my throttle bearing. I'm gonna put some on these tabs up here. Grease on the tabs. And put a little grease around this too. Some on the splines. And we'll throw that on like that. And we'll put some on these tabs. I'm try and get them on both sides here. Shove this thing up in here, set it down just like so. We're gonna lube this thing up as well. Should just be able to slide this right in here. All right, that's all the way in. We got our cap here. I forget the torque on that, but I'll look it up here in a second. Here's our boot. Okay, our boot's in. We got our little spring here. Hook this up now. We're ready to drop it in. Should pop right into the engine mounts now. There we go. Alright, now we just gotta go through and hook everything up. I do have to take out that secondary air pump valve, the connector for that, so I'm gonna actually work on that now before I go any further. This is the biometric pressure sensor. We could throw the whole thing back in there, but I'd rather just have this little sensor. So as long as we stay on this outside little circle here, we should be good. Once you can kind of see the metal along this edge I've melted, you can kind of just stick a screwdriver in here, start prying. All right, we kind of got it moving. It's just this back plastic holding this up. Little melt job. Here's our sensor. You got 2 little prongs back here. I'm gonna put a little bead of silicone on that, and I'll probably just wrap it in some electrical tape. A couple engine mount nuts to put on. While we're down here, there's a couple of these ground wires we gotta hook up. Got a little steel wool here. I'm just gonna clean it up. Put this thing back in here. Let's move to the other side because the other side also has one. Do the same thing, pull it out, give it a little clean. I'm gonna get this AC in here. Clutch slave cylinder hooked back up. Steering back in. Just like that. Got a long bolt here. And then there's a short bolt under here. And then there is a problem bolt in the very back. Really hard to get to. Had to use the little swivel to get back there. It actually worked really good. Heater core line's connected. I just gotta move these clamps. Let's get this clamp down. Got all the fuel lines back on, just tightening them up right now. The next thing to go in is the alternator. Looks like we're right in there, man. There we go. Snug that up. And then we can plug our alternator in, plug our AC in. So we got a lock washer we need to put on the top. And then we can go right back on here. The only things we really have left is the downpipe, the intake, and the radiator, and the intercooler. I got a new filter for our intake here. Alright. Go ahead and drop the radiator in. I think we're ready for that. We should just click in, plug in our other radiator fan. I got the intake all bolted up with the new pipe. I do need to plug in the MAF sensor right there. MAF's plugged in. Now I need to get these radiator supports on. Next thing I want to do is get the downpipe on. Plug in this O2 sensor. We got our top mount. Going back in, now we just gotta tighten up some of these clamps. We should be almost ready to start it besides some fluids. These don't need to be extremely tight, they just need to be snugged up. Then we can put back our intercooler mount. These Long John Silvers should do. Long John Silvers. There we go. Mount bolts for the intercooler back in. Put our battery back in here. Might be time for a new battery soon. Okay. Our new oil capacity should be about 6 to 6.5 quarts with that Killer Bee oil pan. I'm going in with some cheap Mobil 1 because I will be only putting about 200 to 500 miles on this oil before it gets some chafers. Alright, there's our cheap break-in oil. Go grab another quart of this. Take a peek here. Oh yeah, we're at the full mark. We can start this thing. Let me go grab some coolant. Ooh, it's blue. So I'll pull this fuse out and we shouldn't be getting any fuel. I wanted to crank this for a little while.
Many hours later.
put our fuel pump fuse back in. Say a quick little prayer.
Thank you for providing us with the direct port nitrous.
Amen. We do have a few check engine lights, I'm assuming, from our delete. And X-Tool sent me this diagnostic tool to read them. Peep what they gave us here. And here's your OBD cable. You make an account and you have Wi-Fi. Let's do OBD2. So it's gotta do a little update. Clear, read trouble code, clear trouble code. Let's read. All O2 sensor related. That shouldn't be a big deal. Probably gonna be cat related since we're catless. I appreciate them sending me this. I'm sure it's gonna get a lot of use. For a first drive, I'd recommend bringing a fire extinguisher, some tools, maybe some zip ties, because you never know what's going to happen. I want to go get this thing cleaned up because it's extremely dirty. So in order to break this thing in, I'm going to keep it under 4,000 RPMs, and I'm going to stay out of boost. I'm going to mostly let the engine do my braking for me. Probably do like 150 miles on it. And we'll see if it's broken. Just trying to keep it under 4,000. The clutch feels really light. I'm not really used to that, how light it feels. Let's get this thing cleaned up. Alright, all cleaned up. Go air dry this thing. We're gonna go do a little cruise here.
Now that it's back up and running, I think we need to give it that Subaru sound. You're searching online, a name brand exhaust ranges from about $800 to $1,200 so I found the cheapest one I could, and that was on Temu for $125. It may be made at Chinesium. I guess we'll see when it gets here.
Here is our $100 Temu exhaust from a company called DNA Motoring. So let's open this thing up, see what we got here. So this would be our mid pipe. Not sure why it's reduced here. That's a little scary. This side's definitely 3-inch. And it's got all the hangers on it, which is another big surprise when you're buying something from Temu, but it's definitely light, which is what we want. And then we got this monstrosity. Massive can, dude. We might end up cutting this off and just straight piping back. For now, we'll probably just throw this on and see how it sounds. Let's get this thing up in the air. So to get the stock exhaust off, there's actually 2 hangers on each of these mufflers. And then there's just one singular hanger back here. I'm gonna get that unbolted and then get all these hangers taken off.
Bugger!
They do make a special tool to get these hangers off, but I don't have that, so I'm using these long needle nose pliers. I'm sure I've called them something else in the past. These Long John Silvers should do. Typically you can just get them like that.
Once I had both bolts connecting the cap back to the downpipe and all 5 hangers, the exhaust came right out.
There's the old stock exhaust. Oh, it's heavy. And our Temu exhaust did come with the hardware and 2 gaskets. I'm gonna put this new gasket up here because I don't think I'll be taking this pipe off again anytime soon. And I'm gonna put that metal gasket in the back because I might end up cutting that muffler off. Because it kind of looks like a fart can. I'm not super into that style of look or sound. I'm gonna have to hold this thing up with my head to get this nut on. Put this other bolt in. Next pipe to go on. So I'm actually gonna put this in the hanger right now. So that way it's just being held up. We can push this all the way through. There's what we got so far. This first hanger on, and we can get our metal gasket here. So I'm gonna slide this one on the bottom and then on the top. I put a little fluid film in there so it slides on a little better. And now we just gotta lift it up. And there we go, it's on. Now we need to go tighten everything. That's pretty tight. All right, that's tight. I'm actually surprised on the fitment. It fit pretty good for $100 Chinese exhaust from Temu. Could call it a job well done, but we should probably listen to it first. Let's go ahead and get this off of here. And this. I'm gonna start it up and we'll see how it sounds with the silencer, and then we'll take it out and see how it sounds without it. There you go. Give this thing a test drive and see how it sounds under a little bit of load. Let's go see how this exhaust sounds.
Now it's time to fill that hole where the dual exhaust was. Some people put a toe strap here, although it's not functional because the metal's so thin. If you tried to use it, it would get bent or pulled out. I got online and looked up an exhaust cover. Most of these places were sold out on the right hand side, and the only place that had one was Versus Engineering for about $70. Everything else was found on eBay, like this front lip for $70, a rear window spoiler for $63, some rain guards for about $25, and then these spoiler stabilizers for about $32. I'm gonna start with the most difficult part first, which is the front lip. So let's get this thing up in the air and get it installed.
Alright, that should be good enough. This is the front lip I bought for the car. So first thing I'm gonna do is go underneath and pull out all the clips. These are what these clips look like. Try and take them out without breaking them if possible. If we do break it, I think we do have some more of these. I find one. Alright, and we did manage to get it out without breaking it. So I got some hardware here. I'm just gonna get this first one kind of where it's supposed to be. We'll go do the other side. It looks like we were missing the clip on this side. Fender liner's broke right here, but this lip should help hold it up once we put a bolt through it. It's hard to get my hand in there. There is a couple holes that are pre-drilled that we can just go ahead and bolt up. Put our washer on top, throw in our nut here. Do the same thing over here. I'm holding this pretty firm against my bumper, so I make sure I get this hole in the right spot. Go ahead and put my washer on top here. Nut. Next. Now that we got that wheel turned, we can drill a hole back here for this. I'm just gonna hold it as tight as I can right here. I'm gonna go ahead and try and tighten this. It's a 10. Gotta put a washer on the back, little one. Now I gotta drill this hole out. Now I'm gonna go through and tighten all these up. I'm gonna squeeze this. See how much that bracket's moving? That's the distance we need to get rid of. Alright, now that everything's tight, I can go through and get the rest of these. Boom, 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 boom. I might have to take this off to be able to get inside there. On to the next. Get this one done. Start on the far side and work my way towards the middle. We're on to our last hole to drill here. Ow. I just rolled over my arm, that hurt.
Crying boy, maybe we'll go back down to McDonald's and get you a lamb burger and some french fries.
Now we just gotta go through and tighten all these up. I got everything tightened on the front lip, so I'm gonna go ahead and drop it down and see what it looks like. The jack almost doesn't fit anymore. Yeah, that's not bad. Disregard the little damage on my bumper that was here when I bought it back in 2019. It's an off-road car, so we're not too worried about cosmetic imperfections.
Now we can do all the easy stuff, starting with the rain guards.
Crazy weather environment here in the Pacific Northwest, so having these I would say is a must if you're planning on daily driving your vehicle. Before I put these rain guards on, I'm gonna go ahead and clean these, but degreaser will work as long as it's not gonna eat your paint. Now that all that's clean, I'm gonna go ahead and peel this double-sided tape off here. I'm gonna go grab one thing to make sure this adheres to the car well. Let's do the back one. Not too bad. Need to clean them up a little bit, but I think those are going to be nice, especially in the wintertime. Alright, let's hit this other side. Gotta get this side all degreased. Look at all that.
Just look at it.
Put a little heat to it. It's weird having, you know, easy stuff to install that just sticks right on. Just about identical to the other side. That's perfect. I went and bought my own sticky tape. This stuff's a little wide and it's gonna stick out. I just think that's gonna look ugly. I'm gonna cut this up and get it applied. Now I'm gonna grab my tape measure, just measure from here to here and see if it's the same on both sides. Exactly 9. Exactly 9. We just need to make sure they're straight up and down. And the best way to do that is to measure this down here. And it's 12 3/4. And up here is 12 3/4. And see if that's 12 3/4. I'm happy with that. I'm gonna grab some normal tape and just mark these so I know exactly where they're going. Take this first one out. And I'm gonna hit this with a little heat. I'm gonna try and lift the spoiler up while I put this on here. And then we gotta make sure our front's lined up. Oh yeah. Yeah, it lined up nice. Thing seems pretty on there. Let's grab this one. Alright, let's go make sure the front's lined up. Perfect. Alright, we can remove our tape. Now I got this top spoiler. I need to clean a little bit before I put it on. Put a little degreaser on this so it sticks well. This exhaust cap. They gave us 4 of these clips. 2 go on the top side and then 2 on the sides. I think that looks a lot better than that gaping hole.
What did he say?
Oh, unfortunately, they sent me the wrong one.
Now I needed to find something that actually fit my car, and there's a few options out there. The more expensive option is the Rally Armor mud flaps for about $200. I decided to go with the cheaper option, which is rock blocks, for about half the price. Originally, I wanted to make my own mud flaps from Peterbilt, although the material was too thick, so they would have been a lot heavier and had to have been mounted on the outside of the fender well.
Alright, this is what we got to install our rock blocks mud flap. Got a bunch of hardware here. They're definitely light, and I know that's what we're looking for, so let's go ahead and get these installed.
Shop's full, so we're doing it the old-fashioned way. Do one side at a time here.
Let's go ahead and loosen these up a bit. Get the back ones loosened up here. Now we can go up. Let's finish taking these off. So this is all the hardware for one of the rear mud flaps, and I'm gonna go ahead and get these in first. They said you're supposed to shave some of these down on the side. See how that's feeling. We gotta do another one right here. Bottom clip we need to get in, it's under here. This is the hole they want me to put this square plastic clip in. This bracket came as a 90. You have to give it a little bend. I'm gonna go ahead and put this screw in here. This is a 1-inch. Alright, that's tight. The last clip is this plastic one, and it just goes in this. The first screw we're gonna put in is the biggest one. Out of the 2 sizes they give you here, gets a washer on the front. Grab your flap, and it's actually gonna be this top one we put this through, but the back of it gets this spacer here, so just put that spacer
right here, and we'll start to put this thing on. Then we can go around with the rest of our hardware here. Just start getting these started. This back one here. Gonna get this bottom bracket one going. Pull this out as much as we can and tighten these up now. And now we just gotta do that on 3 more. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the wheel and tire put back on this side. Go ahead and work on the front. A couple clips we got to pop out here, and there's also one on the bottom. That one popped out nice. That one popped out nice as well. And you can kind of just pop these as far as they go out. Ooh, those came out really nice, surprising. All right, all those came out really nice. Now I just gotta get that bottom one out. Should be fun. This one's probably the most dirty. Looks like we got it. There's that. Wow. This should be all the hardware that we need for this front mud flap. So let's go ahead and get these clips in. They want me to pull this fender liner back a little bit. And I'm dropping all kinds of rocks and debris. I can go ahead and put all these clips in. There's 4 nylon clips in total. 3 of them go on the side and 1 on the very bottom. We can go ahead and tuck this fender liner back in its place. We got this bracket. I already put the metal clip on. That's gonna be facing like this. You're actually supposed to shove this under the skirt. Just like that. This 1-inch screw with this washer go from underneath. You can go ahead and put this on now. The longest screw that we got is gonna go right here, but it needs this little spacer here on the back. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this one on first. This top one going. And then we got this back one here. Tighten all these down now. Keeping a little pressure on this outside, pulling it out.
What do you mean by that?
Now we can go ahead and put our tire back on. We can go ahead and drop this thing down now. Now these DX4 wheels were the first thing I did to this car, was downgrade the brakes so I could run these 15-inch wheels with off-road tires. Best brakes I'd say to downgrade to would be the 06 WRX brake, 07 as well. In order to do that, you also need the DBA rotors. Shave these down like we did on the other side. Yep, that clipped in nice. There we go, clipped in. We do have our clip we need to throw in here. Let's go ahead and take this front wheel off. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's go ahead and drop it down. That's 90 right there. All right, let's click that in. Let's go back in time and see what we started with.
My mind keeps drifting into memories. Something long gone keeps on coming back to me. My heart is hung up on what used to be. Time moves on, and then one day it's ancient history. Give me just a little bit of time back, baby. Can't you see? Couldn't we just go rewind back, baby? You and me, what a shame. I think of all the years gone by, all the yesterdays. For you and I, it was a flame back then, but oh my, something set